Tonight I will be interviewing Brooke McAllister, who is a junior at Lewis and Clark College, and I chose to interview her because I was interested in her academics here and how she got so successful so early. And so my first question to you is, I wanted to just start broad and know why and how you came to Lewis and Clark.
Well, first of all, both my parents attended Lewis and Clark, so that was a big influence on me coming here. My dad did the Australia Study Abroad program here, and I'm actually going on that next semester, so that's an exciting thing. Another reason, I didn't want to be in a rural town. I wanted to be close to the city. I was contemplating going to Whitman in Walla Walla, but it was too rural.
It's
and
so small.
Yeah, too much like my hometown. So that was a big factor. And then lastly, definitely like the class sizes at Lewis and Clark.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be able to have an intimate relationship with my professors, close relationship. So yeah.
Yeah, I know that's definitely like the main reason I chose to come to Lewis and Clark is because of the small classes, and I know that's how you've become so such great friends with Kundai Turindo in the rhetoric department. And do you want to talk a little bit about how that's been, getting to know him and your relationship with him?
Yeah, I met him at first my freshman year in rhetorical theory, spring semester, and I was intimidated at first. But I really wanted to go into that class and give it my best because I knew it was going to be challenging. And I think Kundai really recognized my work ethic, and he actually ended up asking me to research with him over the summer, and then into actually my sophomore year.
What was that like, being asked to research with a professor so early in college? Because I feel like, you know, to be a freshman and asked to do additional research is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was scary, to be honest. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, and yeah, I don't know. I was definitely honored to be a freshman and to be researching with a professor because, yeah, it doesn't happen all the time. Definitely. Yeah.
What did you research?
So he was interested in looking at the rhetoric around how the survivors of the Rwanda genocide talked about their experience and how the media talked about their experience. So we ended up reading 3 or 4 books that discussed the genocide, how it occurred, what occurred, and the aftermath. And then we also ended up watching 6 or 7 films on the Rwanda genocide, and then just trying to analyze how people were discussing what happened and how to move forward from it.
Yeah.
It was not an easy thing to learn
sounds
about. No, yeah.
Not easy to watch,
Yeah. After we concluded, actually, Kundai came to me and pretty much apologized for making me watch all these like really graphic and depressing movies. But
yeah,
it was definitely rewarding, though.
Was there an outcome to the research, or like how did you end up concluding it?
As far as I know, he has actually not done anything with the research. He hasn't published anything thus far. But
well, he's a newer professor, so
yeah, he's got a lot on his plate. There's still time. Though.
As you know, I'm taking a class with Kundai this semester, and he's very passionate about his classes and also very intimidating. Would you say that you were ever scared of disappointing him, or, you know, especially because you didn't know him very well? So
yeah, I definitely was terrified of disappointing him, and I still am. Every day in class, I try to put my best foot forward because I'm taking a class with him right now as well, rhetorical criticism. And yeah, it definitely drives me to do my best at all times.
Yeah, for sure. What about outside the rhetoric major? What kind of things do you do at Lewis and Clark?
I'm actually an art minor.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm really interested in photography.
Do you do photography outside of school or only at school?
Yeah, I actually at home I take portraits for people and you know, earn a little money on the side.
Yeah.
I did that throughout high school, and I still continue to do it occasionally when I'm home.
What does an art minor do? Like, what kind of things do you like to study within that? Or
yeah, we focus a lot on, well, I mean, I've taken a lot of photography classes at Lewis and Clark, or as many as you can. But I'm actually more focused and interested in graphic design.
Okay.
So they don't offer any classes in graphic design at Lewis and Clark, so hopefully I'll be able to continue that avenue after I graduate, maybe at PSU.
Oh, okay. So then why art though? Because I know that you said you have an interest in photography, but why did you choose to end up pursuing a minor in it?
Yeah, I thought it would be interesting to combine what I've learned in rhetoric and media studies with art, because I would like to go into the advertising field after I graduate. So incorporating media studies with the graphic design skills that I hope to attain and can further, could hopefully produce a career in advertising.
Do any of the classes at Lewis and Clark focus on advertising at all, or?
You know, they're briefly mentioned. I took an entrepreneurship class with Brian Seabach in the rhetoric department, and he brushed on advertising, but no, there's not a huge focus. I wish there were classes that addressed it more.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Have you ever considered maybe trying to incorporate art and rhetoric within your capstone project, or do you think that you'll leave that for after college?
Yeah, I definitely would be interested in that. I hope to take Kundai's, of course, capstone, race, rhetoric, and resistance, and I think it'd be really interesting actually to look at race within advertising, especially in our changing cultural world.
Well, so then what are your hopes for the rest of school, I guess, with the rhetoric major? I mean, are you trying to learn more about advertising, or do you want to study with Kundai more, or?
Yeah.
I mean, you said you're taking his capstone. So
yeah, if there was an opportunity to study with Kundai again, I definitely would, or even continuing or furthering our work, concluding our work on the Rwanda genocide would be beneficial. I couldn't pass up that opportunity to have that experience, even though I'm not completely interested in that subject. So, yeah, it's definitely a rewarding experience.
Well, how will it be then you've been so within the rhetoric major, are you excited to take a break from that when you go to Australia next semester? Or?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely excited to step away. I'll take care of a lot of my credits, general education credits, when I'm in Australia.
So. Oh, okay. That's cool. I mean,
but hopefully I can still incorporate rhetoric into my courses in Australia. We have to write a research paper, and I was actually considering comparing the media in Australia to the media in the United States for my paper.
That's cool. Do you know of any differences, or did that just first come to mind when you thought of researching?
Yep, I'm just kind of going in blindly and see what happens.
That sounds cool, though.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I've always really admired your abilities at school, especially just because I feel like you pursue things really easily and you take on a lot. And so I'm really excited for learning about how to, just learning about what you end up doing with the rhetoric major, especially because, you know, you have Kundai as a mentor, and that's really awesome. And so, yeah, I just wanted to thank you for interviewing, and it was really cool learning about how and why you chose to be a rhetoric major and where you want to go with it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so you're gonna have to put this in your pocket, and then this has to be here, close to where your speaker.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah.
Just on like the side. Like. Sure. You should put it on the other side, because the camera's. Look. What a nice. It doesn't work? Oh. Well, I don't think it matters very much. Oh, that's me. I don't want to know. Oh, yeah.
So that you have
Oh, wait.
streaming now.
So this is all live streaming to my YouTube account, so I'll send that link out to class.
But in general, I'm going to ask everybody to have a copy anyway. Once you're ready to go, we'll go.
Tonight I'm going to be interviewing John Lensing. John is a freshman at Lewis and Clark. He is from Minneapolis. He plays guitar and writes his own songs, and he will be leaving school after this semester. Yeah. Okay. How you doing? So what have you liked about Lewis and Clark so far? How do you feel about it as a freshman?
I think it's a really cool school. I mean, I definitely am not unhappy with going here. I think it was a very good place to have gone to for a bit. My favorite part is being able to walk into lunchroom and seeing I don't have to worry about it. I can walk in and I'll see people I know and I can sit down with. I like the size of the school a lot, and it's not hard to make friends here if you're open.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So how did you make the choice to decide to leave Lewis and Clark?
Essentially, I've never been too dead set on the whole college option. I woke my mom up at 2 a.m. I believe 7 days before we had to pay the tuition for first semester, and discussed me volunteering in Morocco instead of going to college. And I guess I always had that constant thought tugging at me, I like education a lot, but I don't know if I need to go to college for it or want to, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So how did you first get interested in music?
First got interested in music.
Real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch it on. There you go.
I'll ask you again. So how did you first get interested in music?
I first got interested in music when I was little. I took piano lessons for 9 years growing up. It made me like music, or I guess it helped develop a sense of it. For me, my teacher was really you play the same classical songs over and over. So eventually I quit it and took a 4-year break from music. And then I figured out I just didn't like the teacher, not that I didn't like music.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been around it a lot as a kid, though.
So how did you start playing guitar instead of piano?
I got back into music playing baritone in band, and
Playing baritone? What is
yeah, I played the baritone.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's why I stopped playing baritone. My best description is a small tuba.
Okay.
Yeah, and eventually, me and the kid in back would, as 5th graders, talk about how cool it would be to play guitar instead. And eventually, my friends already played guitar though, so I started playing bass with them, and we formed our little band in middle school. So I've been playing electric bass for about 8 years, and I played upright bass for about 5. And eventually, I figured out I like playing better by myself, and you can play bass by yourself and write music, which I did for a little bit, but it's a lot easier with guitar,
Yeah.
especially singing.
So how did you get interested in songwriting?
Through hip-hop music, actually. I used to listen to exclusively rap music, and I
Who
would
specifically?
I liked Mos Def a lot of 90s rap.
Cool.
And I had a rule for sophomore year where I had to write a full page of rhymes every time before I went to sleep. And eventually my guitar teacher figured this out, or he was my bass teacher at the time, and I started making like I would play bass while rapping them, and he would like do the percussion, and then eventually like I wanted to write like an actual song, but I was too shy about it. Like whenever we brought it up, he's like, you should write like a song where you like sing, not a hip hop one. And I was like, I don't know if it'll be good, and like that. And then eventually, I just walked in for a lesson, and then I sat down, and he said, okay, so this lesson is going to last as long as it takes for you to write a song. And so he stayed there for probably an hour and a half, and by the end of it, I hated it, but like a week later, I pulled it back out at my next lesson, and I was like, this is actually not bad. And once I was past like the hump of starting it, I kept doing it just because I figured out I liked it a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy.
So how do you feel, does Minneapolis have a music scene?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It does, I promise.
What kind of music?
Minneapolis we have a lot of jazz and local hip hop artists that are really big, like Brother Ali, Sims, Atmosphere, that tour like that in the US and stuff. And other than that, we also have a lot of bluegrass and Americana music, especially coming from like Duluth, because I grew up with 2 different guitar teachers. One of them played jazz music, and the other one is an Americana artist.
Mm.
So he played like banjo and mandolin and taught me guitar also.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So how does the Portland music scene compare to the?
I think the Portland one, like, it's hard to give it a specific sound because it's very eclectic. It's very like, people get really like deep into their niches here, and I think that's interesting. And I don't know if it's always a good thing, because sometimes bands get popular from here and it really confuses me, but other times it also produces bands that like I don't think could happen in a different environment, because it's, rather than people playing off of a genre, a lot of times it's just them following their gut very, very far, and sometimes that has really cool results.
Cool. So what do you feel like your genre of songwriting is?
I just pretty much use folk to describe it, or singer-songwriter really, because I have a lot of influences even from like hip hop, and I like focusing on lyrics a ton, and I feel like folk embodies that a lot. I don't know if I really have a traditional folk voice, but I don't know if you need to really to say that you make folk music.
Yeah, sure. Last question, where can we listen to your music?
On my SoundCloud. Yeah. But I'll be making a website done like January 10th. I'm making a website right now.
Exciting. JohnLensing.com?
JohnLensingMusic.com.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for interviewing me.
Oh my God.
I'm taking attendance, so everybody could please put your names on it. All right, thank you. Yeah, and he needs to
There we go. Nice and comfy. God, I'm freaking exhausted. Just want. Oh. I told my person to be here like 10 minutes early. Both. No. Oh, I guess it is only 6:20. Hmm? 6:30. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, seriously. Thank you for coming. Excuse me, did you just dab? What? Hmm? Oh my god. It's. Oh, Susan, bless. Oh, I should take my jacket off.
Great. All right, I would like to welcome Sarit Gluz to our set. Sarit is assistant swim coach here at Lewis and Clark, swim class instructor, LC alum, and generally interesting person to talk to. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
So prior to your time coaching here, you were a coach in Alaska. Did you enjoy it there? What was it like? Tell us about it.
I did enjoy my time in Alaska. It was an interesting experience. I think I liked living in Alaska better than I liked my job in Alaska.
Yeah.
But it was an overall good experience learning like how to live in that environment and also how to deal with stressful situations on the job.
Yeah. So you didn't actually have to lie to people that you enjoyed it there.
No.
about
Like
the
the
job.
living was great, and I loved like being outdoors and exploring nature. Like you drive 5 minutes out of the town and you're in the wild and moose running around and everything. But yeah, like being in Alaska was okay, but working there was less fun.
Yeah. So I mentioned that you're an LC alum. What was it that brought you back here to coach?
I think it was a little bit of everything. I had a great time as an undergrad and as an athlete here on campus, and an opportunity arose, and Chris called me and was like, I want you to be my assistant coach. And I was like, I'm not going to turn that down. Dream job. So it was a little bit of everything. It all worked out to be, the right time, the right place, all of those things. So it was really great. And I think that it's, dream job. Like,
Yeah.
how can you beat working at your alma mater and like doing the things that you love? So.
And it sounds like you didn't have to it wasn't hard to say bye
Yeah.
Alaska.
See you later.
Yeah.
No, not
Just
at all.
the job part.
Yeah, I think that it was an easy transition, and it was easy to like go into coaching and doing the things that I like to do and being able to do the things that I like to do, and then live in a place that was close to home and a city that I knew. I had friends here, so yeah, the transition was easy.
So you've gotten to see campus as it was when you studied here, and you get to see it now. Are there any huge differences that you've seen as a student compared to being a coach here, or some similarities?
I think physically the biggest difference is in the bone. The wall was not there when I was a student. It flows much nicer now, which is nice, so you don't have to stand in as enormous of lines. And I think that the one thing that I noticed my first year was that the amount of things that are happening on campus is a lot more. So there, like English department is hosting something, or Hispanic studies, or the college itself is bringing somebody to campus. And I think that when I was here, those things were probably happening. They just didn't do a very good job of advertising, maybe. So I went to speakers and stuff, but it wasn't the same, excitement level from the college on those things. And so it was, that was the thing. Like, there's so many cool things that are happening around campus, and I'm like, I want to go to all those things now, but I think that those opportunities were less available when I was in school.
Yeah. So then also, how has being a student here, how's that helped you approach coaching?
I think that, I'm not so far removed from my time in college that I can relate to the experience, like your experience of balancing the workload of the Lewis and Clark classes. And I know professors still, I know, people around campus. So like I understand what you're going through, and then I can turn it around and say, well, I did it. I survived my college experience. And so I think I can relate better and help people like maneuver through those tough times that every college student goes through, those like trying moments of oh my God, am I going to get this done? Like, I've got all these things to do. Am I going to get it done? And you figure out a way. So I
Right.
can, I can say, like, help manage the stress a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You understand what we're all going through
Exactly.
right now.
Yeah.
So you earlier had mentioned like events in Hispanic studies. I
Mhm.
know that you were a Hispanic studies major yourself,
Yeah.
but also now a swim coach.
Yeah.
Was that something you always planned on doing, even while you're studying Hispanic studies?
It was something that I always had in the back of my mind as something that I wanted to do, but it took me a long time to convince myself that I was okay to just like go for it. I did get to use my major. I lived in Spain for 2 years. I spoke Spanish every day, so that was great. But I don't feel bad about, working here and doing something that I love to do, and like, I mean, I'm giving back to my college, to my school in a different way than you would if you were like making millions of dollars and just donating money,
Yeah.
So I get to, like, the college gave me such a good experience, and I want to share that with you guys.
So then what have you been able to draw from your studies to apply to coaching?
I think that the hard work that you have to put in from like your college experience, like, yeah, you're going to do all of the papers, you're going to give the presentations, but there's a bunch of life skills that come along with that. And I think that being comfortable doing something like this, like if I was in college and I had to do this, like no way, I couldn't do that. But it's, you had to do it. You gave the presentations and you learned to do public speaking, you learned to be comfortable with yourself. And as a Hispanic studies major, Spanish, like I got to go abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And that was uncomfortable, and it's uncomfortable for a lot of people, but it's one of those experiences that like I wouldn't change it for the world. Like it's one of those things that I learned so much about myself and about what I was capable of doing, and that just translates into my confidence in what I do now. Like I believe that I am a good coach, and I hopefully am able to help you in the pool.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's working, but I think that I'm okay at what I do, and I think that having the confidence in yourself and what you're doing, I learned that in school, and then it just, translates through
just carries over.
life.
All right. Well, I think we're kind of coming to our time. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
Are you green? Not yet. There you go.
Oh, green, okay. Yes? Yeah. Okay, so I have Dakota Kennedy here.
Hello.
He is a 19-year-old sophomore. He is a chemistry major and music minor.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Monument, Colorado, and he claims he can play 8 instruments.
8 instruments.
Mm. His favorite animal is owls, and his favorite thing in life is snow. And right now he is addicted to the scent of pine.
That is also true.
Okay, so what instruments do you play?
Okay. I should have known this was going to come. Clarinet, piano, flute, saxophone, trombone, violin, cello, and I'm forgetting one more.
That's 7.
It'll come to me.
Okay.
Oh, oboe. There it is.
Oh, that's an important one. So which one is your favorite?
That's a good question, and one that I get a fair amount, actually. What I've decided I'm going with is that my favorite instrument to play by myself is the piano, but in a larger setting, it's got to be the clarinet.
Why is that?
Don't know. It sounds like chocolate to me.
It sounds like chocolate
Yeah.
to you. Do you taste chocolate in your mouth?
No, it just sounds
or
like chocolate.
What does an oboe sound like?
I decided it sounds like yellow.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the flute?
Mint?
Hello?
Couldn't tell you.
What about the piano?
Ooh, that one just sounds like everything. Sounds like whatever you want it to sound like, you know?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So why do you play so many instruments?
I just picked one up and I couldn't stop, I guess. I started learning the piano in 2nd grade and started clarinet in middle school band, but then after that we needed an extra flautist for something, so I tried that out, and then we had to do pit orchestra for a musical, and that required saxophone, and so it just kept coming in, and then last year Lance asked me to learn the oboe, so here I am.
So couldn't you argue that focusing on several instruments is better in the long run? Or do you just prefer to play all those instruments?
Another good question. It definitely, I would definitely would be a better player if I spent all of my time practicing on just the piano or just the clarinet or whatever. But it's not as much fun for me. I love just being able to pick up just a random instrument and go to town on my favorite solo from a symphony or something.
Nice.
So it's more about a me thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So as a fellow college student, we're very busy. How do you find the
That's for
time to practice the instruments?
Well, increasingly so, I don't. But usually it's just on the weekends. I'll just lock myself in Evans until 2 or 3 in the morning, just toying around with everything. But during the weekday, it's definitely a little more difficult.
How much time would you say you spend in Evans?
I don't know if I can quantify that. Probably 5 to 6 hours each week.
Each week.
Outside of class, orchestra and stuff. Just practicing, yeah.
That's awesome. So you're in orchestra and you were a part of chamber music group?
Yeah.
Right? So which instruments do you play in each of those groups?
In the orchestra, I'm on auxiliary woodwinds, so just upper clarinets and then oboe. And then in the chamber group, I'm just on clarinet.
Nice. So this is kind of an unrelated question. So you listen to a lot of holiday music.
Yeah.
What's on your list right now?
What's on my list? The Nutcracker? Are you kidding me? Literally cannot stop listening to that Tchaikovsky right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of Tchaikovsky, he's your favorite, right?
Absolutely.
What about him do you like?
Couldn't tell you. I think probably has something to do with the fact that he was gay. But I have no idea, to be honest.
Okay. Is there like a specific thing you listen for when you listen to music?
Magic?
Magic?
Yeah.
Okay. What about the Nutcracker would you say is magical?
Definitely. Wow, I don't know. It's just so many things. I think what makes Tchaikovsky unique is his very delicate use of percussion. Tasteful, but delicate use of percussion in all of his works, but especially the Nutcracker. That triangle player has a hard job. But it's just so many things. I couldn't even put my finger on it.
So you don't find him too dramatic or anything?
Oh,
like that?
his music is pure drama, and I love it.
You love it?
Yeah.
So drama with delicate percussion.
Sure.
Awesome. Okay. So you're also a chemistry major.
Mhm.
If you were to compare Tchaikovsky to a chemical, what would he be?
Wow. Probably potassium because it's very explosive. Yeah.
Okay. You also need potassium.
Yeah, it's essential.
Is potassium your favorite chemical?
Not at all.
Oh. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So it's very clear that you're passionate about chemistry as well as music.
Mhm.
Why chemistry and why music?
The chemistry, I mean, I've always been more of a sciencey person. And I think that like when it came time to just like pick one of the sciences and go with it, chemistry was just always the most appealing to me because it's more or less just really like at the root of all the other sciences. Like, sure, none of the sciences can exist without each other, but chemistry is like the fundamental level of like biology and physics and everything, really. And that's really interesting to me. And of course, I love blowing stuff up. So, music though is a lot more complicated than that. Of course, I guess I'm just in it for the sensations, the just the fun of being in orchestra. I'm playing by myself. Just the feelings, the magic. Couldn't tell you any more than that, I guess.
So when you play those solo lines by yourself, do you kind of hear the orchestra playing in the background, or?
In rehearsal, yes. And that's a good time to work on everything about the solo and as it fits in the orchestra. But usually when it comes time to play it in the concert, I am so hyped up on adrenaline that it's just all a blur. I just black out. So I don't know.
So what role does music play in your life versus chemistry right now?
I would say that chemistry is why I'm living, why I'm going to school, and music is how I'm living and how I'm going to school. Because I love the chemistry, I love learning about it. It's difficult, of course, but it's really interesting, and I'd love to do something with it later down the road. But it is maddening, for sure. It drives me insane sometimes, and the music is what keeps me in check, I guess.
Nice. So how do you plan to balance music and chemistry once you graduate?
That is the question I've been looking for the answer to for quite some time. Of course, I want to keep playing just recreationally, as I currently am. And I don't see that being a problem, but I think it would be really nice to start teaching private lessons, maybe even post-graduation, or who knows, just drop chemistry and go join a symphony. I don't know.
Well, that was it. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Absolutely.
Have an awesome life.
You too.